Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. It's Tuesday. What is today? The 2nd? What's the 3rd? It's June 3rd. It's a few minutes after 8 in the morning, and our weather is quite good. 72 degrees now, high of 82. Be nice tomorrow, high of 85, then 91, then back into the 80s. Not so bad. All right, so we're gonna do the World War III update today. It's not going to be a long update, but we're going to go through. We'll cover Iran and Ukraine and Russia, etc. Israel, Galilee, and not the Galilee, Israel, and the Gaza situation and what's going on there in Gaza, and Netanyahu's criminal trial, and this idiot Netanyahu and the problems he's giving us, and it's a mess, guys. Okay, and then we're gonna get into they're starting to get ready for fake false two witnesses. I'm seeing it coming. There was a lot of these false churchianity crackpots with, oh, the two witnesses are in Jerusalem, they're here now. There's a lot of this going on, and they're, of course, coordinating it, and they're getting ready to start introducing false two witnesses to lead you astray. And then we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and the absurdity of applying that to the Bible, and how you should never use AI for anything pertaining to the Bible. That's absurd. And that's basically what we're going to cover today. And we're going to also talk a lot about how to tell who the real two witnesses are. Okay. And we're also going to talk about Apostle John, who's not one of the two witnesses, and the anointed prince for the next temple, who's not one of the two witnesses, but they are the four workmen in Zechariah 1, I believe it is, that will terrify the heathen nations. Okay? So it all fits hand in hand. The church world doesn't talk about the four workmen, so you gotta, we'll incorporate that into our thinking as well. All right, I'm gonna go jump into the live stream and make sure we got one, and make sure we got sound and picture, and I'll put a post up and we'll make sure we got one. Yeah, looks like we're moving here. I've got a moderator. Thank you to my moderators. And let me get my post up with my hard to use screen here. This isn't going to take long, but I gotta concentrate. Okay. And Being a Bible-believing site, I'm gonna do some praise and then we'll get going. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, so Netanyahu's criminal cases are now 3 years old. And he is supposed to be in court today for cross-examination to be questioned by the prosecutor and, of course, his own lawyers. Do I think this is going to take place today? I think it'll start and not finish. He'll get called away or something. Or it may go on a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to speculate. What is my hunch? That he'll get called away after he testifies a little bit, or maybe not at all. But let's see what happens. We don't know. All right. Ukraine hit Russia again in the Kursk region. Something about a Kursk bridge may have gotten hit by a drone from Ukraine, but Ukraine's really shellacking Russia again with the drones. They did have a meeting, Russia and Ukraine, in Istanbul, Turkey, for about 75 minutes, and they actually did agree to exchange their wounded soldiers. So, in other words, Ukraine has wounded Russian soldiers, and Russia has wounded Ukraine soldiers. They're going to swap them in a one-for-one basis, not like every idiot in the world, including Netanyahu, exchanges prisoners with Gaza at a ratio of 50-1. Even the United States does that, which is a severe insult to Israel, wouldn't you think? And now you'll tell me how the United States is such a great friend of Israel, huh? No, I don't think so. There were rumors going around about Iran and the nuclear talks, treaty, whatever. There are no further talks scheduled, and they have not reached any agreement. The media was leaking incorrectly that Trump was going to let Iran have some nuclear facilities and enrich some uranium. However, Trump hit the roof and came out and said, no, there is no nuclear enrichment going to go on in Iran whatsoever. Okay? Now, they might be able to buy or obtain very low-grade uranium for civilian energy production from other countries. That's what I was hearing they might allow them to do. But not on their own, because they're just liars, okay? And it'll never work out. Now we're getting rumors that Iran has already enough high-grade uranium to make 10 nuclear bombs. Come on, you know? I told you years ago that this was going to be the alibi to attack Iran, even when Biden was president, and it looks that way. So Where does this leave us? It basically Trump's ultimatuming Iran, and Iran's going to ignore him. So does Trump have the guts to attack Iran? And if so, how the heck does he do this? Well, the only answer I have is in the Bible, okay? And I'll go over with you because it's a very short passage in Jeremiah 49. It's towards the end. It names a lot of these nasty countries that hate Israel. We pick it up in Jeremiah 49, verse 34. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah, the prophet, against Elam. Elam is essentially Iran, but some historians believe it can incorporate parts of Iraq and Syria in addition to Iran. The beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, saying, thus, that's when the prophecy was given. It's not fulfilled. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. Okay. A missile in the old days is an arrow is a missile. Yeah, they call it a missile. And a bow is a launcher of a missile or an arrow, a bow, right? Okay. So applying this today, I don't think Iran has a lot of big bows and arrows that travel hundreds of miles. That doesn't exist. So it's talking about the bow of Elam is the missile launchers. That's what a bow does. It launches missiles or arrows, which is a missile. And that is the strength of them, not their nuclear facilities, their missile cities, their mobile missile launchers, which need radar. This is their strength today. That's self-apparent, really. Behold, I will break the bow of Elam. So somebody's going to attack their missile launcher cities, mobile missile launchers, perhaps missiles being launched off of container ships and other ships. And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them towards all those winds, and there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. So I have to say that what we're reading here is the winds are going to drive them out of Iran, maybe parts of Iraq and Syria. It's going to drive them to all the countries of the world. So maybe the infrastructure is not destroyed. For some reason, they run away. Or maybe it is destroyed. I don't know. It's not all that clear. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies. Now we get more insight. Dismayed. Let's look that up. Strong's number 2865. Katat. It means broken, shattered. Strong's puts it to prostrate, to lay down, break down. Violent breakdown. Fear. Yeah, they get busted up. So they do get busted up. Dismayed before their enemies. Now that's in the plural. Strong's number 341. Let's get a good meaning for this word in English. What happened here? Something didn't go good. Hold on. Basically, enemies is enemies that hate them. It seems to be in the plural. And before them that seek their life. So that's enemies personified, I guess. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger, saith Jehovah, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. And I will set my throne. That's not that he's going to rule in Elam. It's that he's going to judge him. He sits on the throne when he judges. And will destroy from thence the king and the princes, saith Jehovah. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. That's why you read about Persia and Gog and Magog, which is probably going to be around 63 years down the road, in this well into the second 70 of Daniel 9:24. So we can glean from this that the missile launching capability of Elam gets taken out and things go very bad for them and they have to abandon the country. More precision details we just don't have. So we could be at that time where Trump has just decided he's had it with them. Now, maybe some of the things Trump was waiting for from the Pentagon or whatever have come to pass. They might have a good bunker buster to go through the motions of destroying the nuclear facilities. Or maybe they got some capability to destroy the missile cities. See, it's idiotic. Please understand, it's idiotic to destroy the nuclear facilities and leave their missile launching capability intact because they're going to retaliate. The intelligent thing would be to get rid of the radar, then get rid of their missile launching capabilities. And then after that's over, you can go get rid of their nuclear facilities. You don't really hear people talk like I just did because they're not telling you the truth and they don't understand. I mean, does some guy that was a colonel in the Pentagon or something like that understand this? Yeah. But that doesn't mean they're going to talk about it, but they would understand it. But they might feel that this is too close to classified information to talk about it. Okay. It'd be good to pray that more and more people find uh, the website. Yeah, the YouTube channel. It seems to be getting concealed by the powers that be, so I could pray that more and more people see it. Okay. There's a prayer request here. Here it is. PP, Papa Papa, PP, Papa Papa. This person has cancer, pray for healing. For PP, pray for healing. Also for, we'll call this person AZ, Alpha Z, AZ, or Alpha Zebra, AZ, pray for healing, cancer, AZ. Okay. So Trump made his very strong statement, and now we got to decide if Trump is just huffing and puffing or if he's going to really blow Iran's house down. Let's see. Somebody will. And we'll have to, because that's in the scriptures. So let's see. And it's not going to be America alone. Gaza reports are saying that for the third day in a row, several people were shot by a humanitarian aid station. Now, they're trying to pin this on Israel. I don't believe Israel would be shooting and killing people over stealing aid and stuff like that. It's probably Hamas. This is going on for the third day. So Hamas has a vested interest in making the humanitarian aid not work so they can cause more trouble for Israel around the world and rile people up with false claims of starvation and all this sick stuff. There's no ceasefire going on with Gaza. They're just doing a tap dance like Iran to buy time. And now they said, oh, we're going to give a response to the Witkoff proposal. Big deal. So they're just marking time, and that schmuck Netanyahu isn't really prosecuting the war very much like he promised. So it's going to be fascinating to see how Netanyahu gets out of this testifying in court today. If he gets out of it, he may not. Maybe he thinks it's time that he should start testifying. I don't know. He's generally not, direct or forthcoming, and doesn't speak the truth and stuff like that. So I'm not too optimistic on seeing anything good develop with this Netanyahu here. I don't believe he's gonna do anything to move his trial forward, because if he does that, he gets himself closer to going to jail. He's not been convicted. He might, maybe he's not going to ever go to jail. I don't know that. Netanyahu doesn't know that either. So we don't know what this crackpot is up to. I just don't trust them. 3 years, I mean, they wouldn't let a regular person get away with this for 3 months. But because he's Netanyahu, he's gotten away with it for 3 years. It's pretty sad. He may never even come to the courtroom today. He may just send a messenger to state that he has, very important business, and he can't be bothered testifying in his own criminal case. And there's not a lot that the Attorney General can really do about this. What are they going to say? I don't know. It's annoying having an idiot like this. And but the real problem is that people like the corruption he brings, apparently, so they keep voting for him. So they don't care. And now look at the mess they're in. All right. So the false teachers and the false prophets are out there talking about the 2 witnesses. They're talking about phony 2 witnesses. I'm hearing it from several people, and I'm picking it up myself. There's too many of these churchianity liars running around doing it to be coincidence. They're getting ready to promote multiple phony, fake 2 witnesses, so people will get confused, and their attempt is that people will not be able to tell the difference between the fake 2 witnesses and the real 2 witnesses. Now, this is very, very far from the truth, and I'll explain it to you. Okay? The first thing to understand is the way you're going to recognize the 2 witnesses is with, I would say, extreme signs and wonders combined with correct doctrine. Okay? The real 2 witnesses are going to be very condemning on the church. They're going to be very condemning on the rabbis. Okay? They're not going to have any tolerance for this crap going around. Okay? They're not. And they're going to be very outspoken about that. The fake 2 witnesses will never be outspoken about this. The fake two witnesses will have some sort of a story why they're not doing signs and wonders yet. Okay? They're going to talk trash. They're never going to come up with any concrete prophecy because they're going to be afraid it won't come to pass, and then what the heck are they going to do? So they're not going to prophesy anything, okay? The real two witnesses are Israelites, and they've been living in Israel at least some of their life, and they're going to emerge from within Israel. So they're not going to be coming from the nations, okay? But the false ones are promoting it, and I'm hearing more and more of them talking about they're in Jerusalem already, okay? They're not, but they're saying they are. They're not in Jerusalem already, okay? But they're stating that they are, and it's not true. Okay, next. The two witnesses are Enoch and Elijah, but these are not people with the spirit of Enoch and Elijah, like John the Baptist, for instance. Okay? No, these are them. Because when you read Zechariah 4, verse 14, the last verse, in the Hebrew it says, these are my Shtaim B'nai Yitzhar. It means Shtaim, two B'nai sons, Yitzhar, clarified oil, which means anointed sons. They're called sons, sons of God, standing next to the God of the whole earth. Now, some of you don't understand this, and I'll just briefly give you a scripture so you understand it a little bit more, because you're not going to get these scriptures from the church because they prefer to keep you in a confused state. Now, Job chapter 1, verse 6. Now, there was a day when the sons, B'nai, sons of God, came to present themselves before Jehovah, and Satan came also among them. Okay? So that's it. Yeshua is the firstborn son. Now, why would God say he's the firstborn son if he was just the only son? He would say the only son. But he does say only begotten son, and they don't teach you what that means. The only son begotten of the Holy Spirit and a woman. So Yeshua was basically half God, half human, right? But appeared in human form and was able to die. But he's the only one that was ever created that way and will ever be created that way. Okay? So they're not going to have, the spirit of Elijah or the spirit of Enoch. They're them. Okay? They're them. Because it says in Zechariah 4 regarding the candlesticks and the olive trees, that they're the two sons of clarified oil, the two anointed sons, which when you go to Revelation 11, you pick up there that the two witnesses are the candlesticks and the olive trees. Okay? So that's who they are. All right? They're the real thing. Now, their doctrines are going to be very important. They're going to have a very despicably low, not despicable, they're going to have a very, very low regard for the churches, and they're going to view the churches as a complete nightmare from the devil. And they're going to be very verbal and vocal about this, okay, to wake people up and condemn it. So they're not going to just look the other way about the church, okay? That's not going to happen. So they're going to be very condemning about that. And the rabbis. Okay? Now, Elijah's going to be training the Levites to make the offerings acceptable unto the Lord. So they're going to have the law. Now, they're not going to just go and gravitate to the Ten Commandments. It's not the scripture. The scriptures say in Matthew 5:17 and 18, think not that I came to destroy the law of the prophets. So I didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. And then it says, for as long as there's a heaven and an earth, not one jot or tittle shall be done away with from the law. Now, the law has changed over time, and it will continue to keep changing, okay? But the law will still be in effect with the changes. We don't have the high priest in the order of Aaron anymore. We have an anointed prince from the line of David. We don't have somebody coming from Aaron being the high priest anymore. Okay. I don't believe we'll have the Urim and the Thummim anymore. And I'm not so sure we'll have the ephod, is what the high priest wore with the 12 stones, each stone representing one of the tribes of Israel. I don't believe we're going to see him wearing that, because it would be, in my opinion, too reminiscent of the high priest from the order of Aaron, which is shifted to the house of David. Now, he probably will have a crown, but I don't believe he's going to dress as the high priest, because I don't see that as a good fit. Okay. Things are very different in this next temple. So, by their doctrine, you're going to know them, and they're going to have signs and wonders, which Satan can't do. Satan doesn't heal, and Satan doesn't raise from the dead. Okay? So they're going to have signs and wonders as well. And remember, you're looking for four. You're looking for Enoch. You're looking for Elijah, the two witnesses. You're looking for Apostle John, which says he must prophesy again. Now, when Yeshua mentioned Apostle John way back when, he said there would be someone, not someone standing here amongst you that shall not taste of death until they see the kingdom of God. Now, that would mean that Apostle John is alive until New Jerusalem comes down, where that is not the case with the two witnesses. They die and rise from the dead previous to that. So again, that's a fine tuning or a fine touch that shows you Apostle John is not one of the two witnesses, but he does have a role as an apostle. God set some in the church: apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, and evangelists. So if he's going to go around and establish the gospel, which he will do throughout all the nations, I believe it would be important that we have at least an apostle. Okay? So he will prophesy again to many nations and tongues and so forth. Okay? So he has a definite role. And then the anointed prince, read Ezekiel 45 about his role in the next temple doing the offerings. Okay? And he dies. He gets killed in Daniel 9, I think it's 26, 25 or 26 in Daniel 9. So he's got a role here too. Okay? All right. And I'm pretty sure they're setting this up now. And they're going to have probably multiple fake two witnesses to get everybody confused and try to get them to reject the real two witnesses. Do you understand? Okay. That would be the purpose. You got it? All right. They're not going to fool the very elect, which would be you guys. You're not going to get fooled. Okay? It's not going to happen. All right. They're going to teach about the daughter of Babylon if it's still around. Definitely, the two witnesses, the real ones, they're going to teach about that. And the phony ones ain't never going to teach about that. Go try to find a church talking about America, the daughter of Babylon. Go try to find one. The real two witnesses will explain the Lord's not dead. There will be Israelis from inside Israel. The phony two witnesses will teach the Lord is dead or ignore it. They won't kick against the church. They won't teach the daughter of Babylon is America and will be destroyed. And they're never going to teach Jeremiah 30, verse 11, where God destroys all the nations he scattered the Israelites into over the many centuries, which is also very similar to Jeremiah 46, verse 28. All the nations that he scattered the Israelites into will be destroyed. They will never acknowledge that. Okay? So these would be some of the symptoms those of you with the true gospel have. And that's why you're not going to fall for these phony two witnesses. Now, they're probably going to introduce them before the actual two witnesses start working, although they don't know when the real two witnesses will start working openly, so they don't know. So they may not be able to do that. They may have to come in after the fact, but they will try it. Will the real two witnesses go after the fake ones? It depends where they are. Maybe they don't bother with them. I don't know. They've got work to do and they'll do it, and the true believers will know who they are. You will know. You will perhaps be a little shocked, but you will know. Okay? And that's that. All right? So I wouldn't really worry about it. Now, artificial intelligence. Okay. My wife wanted me to bring this up, and it's getting a little bit out of hand. There are people that are using artificial intelligence to interpret Bible, how they're supposed to live, interpret Bible prophecy, which is stupid. You can't use a machine to interpret the living Word of God. The Word is alive, and a machine's not. And the two are inconsistent. A machine cannot work Bible, okay? It can't, not spiritually, okay? It could give you a word count or how many letters or something like that, but it can't give you any real insight into the scriptures, which would be spiritual. And it is as spiritual as a horseshoe. It's dead. AI is not alive. It's dead. You can't get any good out of AI. Now, can it do spell check? Well, it even does a crappy spell check job. I sometimes use it and I wonder if I should use it because it makes so many mistakes. It's just junk. Okay? Now, AI is making videos of people preaching that don't exist. These preachers, according to what my wife was showing me, are manufactured humans that don't in reality exist, that the AI has created, and gives them sermons, and they preach as a Christian preacher. Well, maybe they preach as a churchianity swab, but they're not really preaching. Maybe they're just reading scriptures. I don't know. But it's getting pretty weird. Can they combine AI with the two witnesses? They could try it, but I don't think they will. I don't see the point in it. They might try it, but it's not going to work. They might try to say AI is going to tell you who the two witnesses are. It's just nonsense. Noise, waste of time. But don't try to use AI with the Bible. You're going to have a disaster on your hands. They are not compatible. Okay? They are not. The Holy Spirit will show you all things, not AI. Okay? You don't want to use AI for stuff like that. For the Bible, anything to do with the Bible. How to live your life with the Bible, nothing. You just don't want to have anything to do with it. Is it demonic? Yeah, in some cases it's demonic. Probably in some cases not. many times probably demonic. I mean, it's making up a preacher. It's creating a video image of a person that's preaching the Bible who doesn't exist in reality. And there's people that are going to this. So they're basically having a machine preach. It's not right. Okay. And people who fall into this, they're deriving end times doctrine from AI, which is stupid. It can't work out. Okay. It's oil and water. It doesn't mix. It can't work. Never going to work. Okay. And I think that the social media platforms are using AI so it confuses the people, and the people don't know who or what to believe anymore. Instead of eliminating free speech, they opened it up with AI garbage impersonating free speech. So there's so much misinformation out there that people don't know what's true and what's not true, not just about the Bible, but in general. And that is what they've accomplished. So they get the people mad when they censor. So instead of censoring, they just open the floodgates up with AI, and people put shorts up and other things, and you don't even know it's AI talking to you. You think it could be a real person teaching you about something in the scriptures. It's not real. And you have to understand that it's not real. So if you know people that are doing this, you should try to enlighten them. Now, I think it's mostly those that are not really strong believers or believers at all that would gravitate towards something like this. Okay. But don't let them lead you into it. It's a disaster. You don't want any part of this. Okay. So now we've got a few big questions in front of us. And I'll tell you what they are. Not about AI here. I'm talking current events. What's going to happen with Iran? We know they're going to get it, but when and by who? It could be America, Israel, UAE, other countries added in. I don't know. It could be France is not tickled pink with Iran, nor is Germany, because France and Germany are mad at Russia, and Russia has a mutual defense agreement with Iran. And Iran gives Russia weapons like drones and missiles to use in Ukraine, causing the members of the European Union and NATO to have to cough up more expensive weapons to Ukraine. So, enemy of my enemy. So, you have, we know France and Germany and the UK are not happy with Russia, so they're not happy with Iran either. And of course, Israel. So it can be just Israel and America hitting Iran. That would be enemies in the plural, but I have a feeling it will be multiple countries. How it's going to start, we don't know. Does it look like Trump's just going to wake up and call Iran on the phone and say, you've got, 24 hours to sign this nuclear deal or we're going to attack you? I mean, what's he going to. Then Iran might preemptively attack. Trump can't really do that. So, what is Trump going to do and not going to do? We don't know yet. Likely Israel may attack Iran, and then America comes in on the blowback. Of course, that means Iran will attempt to launch a lot of missiles and drones at Israel, which America doesn't seem to care too much about, you know. So, I don't know. Then comes the question of Yemen. Again, yesterday evening they launched one or two missiles at Israel. I don't remember I think it was one. And we did a takedown, we did an intercept. But Netanyahu is a schmuck. You can't keep saying, oh, we just take these down all the time until you don't, until you get a miss, and then people could get hurt. So Netanyahu's not dealing with Yemen intelligently like he needs to. He may never do it. It may have to be the two witnesses that do it, or maybe not. I don't know. But he is so far to date not dealing correctly with Yemen, and I'm not so sure he's got a way to go either. How does Netanyahu attack Yemen? America couldn't stop him. How's Israel going to stop him? I don't know. Targeted assassinations, that's not going to do anything. Maybe if he gets the 40 or 50 most powerful people in the healthy organization, yeah, he might cause some changes. But, I don't even think he's gotten one or two, you know? So this needs to be played out. And what's he going to do with Gaza? I don't know. So we got a real puzzle with this Netanyahu creature here. What is he going to do and not do? And when does God push the government of Israel and the IDF off on the side? He destroys the armies of the world, and that could include Israel. I don't know that for sure, but I suspect something's up with that because the victories that Israel's going to have to be of a nature that makes sure the whole world understands Jehovah brought this to pass. Not Trump and Netanyahu and their planes and their tanks. And it can't be that way because that would just drive the people on to worship and support the military and the government of Israel as their saviors. And that, of course, is not what is going to happen. People need to turn to Jehovah, not the government of Israel, which is a bad government. Okay, so that's where we're at. So this is the type of things that we we need to be praying to get good answers for. Okay? Let me see if we're getting any questions in the live stream. You can put up prayer requests, toss requests, questions, and I'll try to answer them. Let me go see if we have any in here now. Yeah, the 2 olive trees are the 2 witnesses, yes. What are this guy's witnessing? I'm not sure what you're asking me. Let me see if we got any things I need to do. And I thank all my moderators. I'd like to know what happened with the 62-year-old person in the court case, if you know what happened. No, there's no more high priest from the line of Aaron, guys. That's finished. Yeshua took care of that. The olive trees, the candlesticks, that's allegorical. They're not going to look like a Hollywood monstrous olive tree walking around with branches and its tree stump or anything like that. You know, it's an allegorical name. It's not a literalization. Okay. They're going to look like people. Okay. Because they are. That's what they're going to look like. Okay. But they are Elijah and Enoch. They're not operating with the Spirit in them because they come down from heaven. And they go back up to heaven on clouds, just like Yeshua did. And Yeshua said, the ones that go up to heaven are the ones that come down from heaven. So that's how that works. Okay. All right. Well, I think I took care of any questions that I had in the chat. So I'm telling you, I'm watching this church people stir the pot with this. You know, it's becoming kind of prevalent in social media. Oh, the 2 witnesses are here now. They're in Jerusalem, or they're here, or they're there, you know. And they're going to start having interviews with them and phony baloney and all this stuff, okay? And by their doctrine, you'll know them. By their lack of signs and wonders, you'll know them. And when the true ones emerge, you'll know them. Your spirit will witness to them, of course. And they may try to release some phony false witnesses before the actual 2 start operating, or maybe not. I don't know. Okay? Don't let it bother you. You'll know the difference. Don't worry about it. If you're a true believer, you'll know the difference. All right. And remember, it's going to be coming from the churches, and the churches aren't going to bring forth good fruit. So you're going to get bad fruit from them. Okay? People that are pro-church and all that. All right. So I guess that's what I got for today. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on Trump. Is Trump in a position where he could just say, well, Iran doesn't want to cooperate, so, well, I'm not going to go bomb Iran. I'm going to go, do something else, and oh, the heck with Iran. What are we going to do? We can't go to war against them. No, Trump's committed. He's going to have to do something. And that something might be to use Israel as a proxy and have us attack, and then supposedly get involved on the blowback with Iran. I don't know. But let's see what happens. So I'm Moshe, so please pray for me and my wife. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues, to be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray the Lord gives me more insights into prophecy that I could share. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem. It's important. And pray for those that are real believers to stay away from artificial intelligence and from fake two witnesses. Pray for them, the real believers, not to be deceived. So I don't think they will. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. And I'm sorry there's not a tremendous amount of news going forth right now. It's kind of an unusual time. But that's what I got for now, guys. So I'm out. Thanks.